What's going on, guys? This is Gains Gaming. Today we are going to be doing Protect the Supplies and showing you guys exactly how to get the highest score on the hardest difficulty in this game mode. So the thing that's really important about this is that you want to do it as fast as possible because the main reason is because the highest score, no matter if someone ties you, the person who gets it first actually takes first place. So if you get 100% at level 30 and someone else gets 100% at level 30 but they get it after you, you are going to be ranked above them. As you can see right here, if this guy had 100% on level 24, he would actually be ranked below me still, even though we had the same score, simply because I got it first. And so what we're going to be doing today is doing level 30 and then also doing legend mode to show you guys how you should be getting the highest score possible. And so one thing that's really important is making sure you have an attack buff and making sure you get a rune. And so right now I do have a March speed rune, so I get 10% extra March speed, which is really important for this game mode. And then I also have Justice, which is really, really great. Hopefully we are able to keep that, but we do have that extra March speed. And so one other thing that we're going to do here is also pop an expansion. We're not going to do 50%. That is one way you could get an even higher score, or basically just solidify your chance of getting a higher score. But we are going to be running a 25% expansion here. And so we are going to take our troops out. These are the troops that I will be using. Will be using T5. Typically, I would recommend T4 if you didn't have the March speed rune, or the Justice. But since I do have those, I will be using T5 simply because I want to have as much punch as possible when hitting these barbarians. That way they die as fast as possible. And I do only have 4 marches with gear. And so I'm going to be using a Minamoto with Ethel. And the reason why is because I want the extra March speed from Ethel, because she does give extra March speed from her relic. So we'll be using mostly T5 and a little bit of T4 there. But we will confirm this. So we have level 30. It's funny how it says you should have 350 million power for this, for the level 30 mode. But we are going to go ahead and rearrange our troops so we are in the best possible position. So I like to have my cavs in the back because they are the fastest. And then I have my infantry out front. And the main reason why is because you want to make sure you are surrounding your caravan at all times. You want your fastest marches near it throughout the entire thing. And the main reason why you want that is just so that if there's a green one, which basically means that it's enraged, it's going to go right toward your caravan. It's not going to stop if you start hitting it. You want to make sure you have calves that can get there as soon as possible. One other really good thing that you should try to do is make sure it's going on your territory. I'm actually really unlucky here because it's not going toward my territory. But one thing, if it was on my territory, I would be able to jump through the different flags. I would be able to jump through cities if they're on territory. And so that really allows you a little bit more flexibility with, just how the field is going to lay out. But you really want to prioritize hitting these enraged barbarians most because they are not going to stop once you start hitting them. You can see, even though I'm hitting these two, they're still marching toward my caravan. And that's one thing you want to make sure you avoid, versus these other ones here. They stop immediately once you start hitting it. And so once I start hitting this with my Minamoto, it is going to stop and is going to go ahead and attack my Minamoto. It's going to stop marching toward my caravan. And that's what you want to try to prioritize, is getting rid of the green ones. That way you can focus on the normal barbarians and not have to worry so much about the gray ones, the ones that aren't really going to stop. And so you can see you can aggro it, and then you can switch targets, and it's actually going to stop targeting the caravan, and it's going to follow you. So that's one way you can also deal with these just normal gray barbarians, is you can target one at a time, and that way you really don't have to worry about your marches stopping. And so we are going to finish killing these, and for some reason I do have the return on here, so we're going to go ahead and fix that. But we are going to go back up here and surround the caravan once again. So once again, we want to have infantry and archers out front and cavalry right behind it. Once again, I really wish this was on territory. All my previous attempts have been on territory, so you have the extra march speed, you have the extra damage. But in this case, since the territory that I'm on right now is kind of like in between two of our alliances, it makes it a little bit more tough, simply because you're not getting the extra march speed of going on territory, and you also lose the damage bonus from territory as well. But hopefully we will be able to get 100% still and take over first place. I typically do very well in this event. I haven't really placed outside of the top 10 in this event, I don't think ever. So hopefully we can keep that trend going here. Obviously it does get a little bit difficult, and honestly on the PC it's probably a little bit harder in my opinion, simply because it's a little bit harder to just control your marches, just because there's so much of an interface here, and I just feel like it's a little bit tougher just to keep control of everything. And so right over here I'm going to try to make sure my Nevsky takes out these two green ones before they get close enough, and then I'm going to try to organize these guys. They can take out this green one up here. Thankfully my caravan has stopped, although I don't want to kill off the boss just yet, because once I do, their caravan will start walking and it will walk right into this green guy. So we want to kill that off first before, and hopefully that thing gets aggroed and stops running, similar to that one there. Okay, we stopped both of those. We're still at 100%. And so we are going to kill off this boss. I won't have to bring any more reinforcements down there, so that's good. And then we'll be able to keep our Minamoto on the bottom. Typically, I would not want to have my Minamoto tank that because it's my only march without gear. But that was just how the cards played out on that one there. But we are going to go ahead and just continue to surround this. This is the best strategy you can use in this instance, is just keeping a circle around your caravan, keeping your fast marches near it. That way on the very bottom you can defend it right away. At the top you have a little bit slower marches that are able to hit those ones that come from the top. And this is also really nice because I'll be able to jump through nodes here if I need to. But like I said before, on the PC it's just a little bit harder because on my phone it's a lot easier to control. In in fighting modes, when you can select all your troops like this, it's a little bit better. But in this game mode, you really want to be able to control one march at a time, and it's just a little bit harder on the PC for that reason, because you're trying to control 5 different marches at the same time, and it's just a lot harder. So in this instance, where your caravan is running away from these two, they're not as big of a deal, and so I won't have to worry as much about keeping my marches down here, simply because I can have my Nevsky basically handle all this on its own. And I can keep these other marches up here. You don't want to keep your marches away from the caravan because you might get more marches coming towards you. And so you want to make sure you don't want to abandon your caravan. You want to make sure you stay on it constantly with as many marches as possible. So I see a lot of people, they bring all their marches down. So you have like 3 marches coming from the bottom, you have 2 from the top, you kill the ones up here, and then you bring all your marches to the bottom to try to kill the last ones when you really just don't have to. Mainly because your caravan's running away from it, and so you just don't really have to worry about devoting that much, attention to it. And so making sure you continue to prioritize your caravan is going to be the most important aspect of this event. So now we're just waiting for this next attack to come, keeping our archers out in front, infantry right around that, and then cavs right behind. And so we are nearing our last boss, and the last one is definitely the hardest, especially on level 30 mode and beyond, just because it's substantially harder with more of these enraged marauders. And so we're going to go ahead and kill both of these because these are the biggest threats right now. These ones I don't really care as much about, mainly because they are just so far away. And so we are going to try to kill this one because it's the closest one to hitting my caravan. And then next we'll take out this guy right there. We'll go kill these ones. And then we'll just bring one march down to the bottom. And that Minamoto will be able to kill both of those off. So we shouldn't have any issue there. So we will continue to go up. So now Minamoto is handling both of these guys. And then we'll be able to bring all of our marches back up to the top here. And then once my Minamoto kills that guy, I'll be able to bring that back up here. And now we are just waiting for this final boss to come. So we are going to get our circle back around our caravan. Now we should have these spawning here any second now. And I like to do a little bit of a wider circle on this last one because they are going to come from all over the place. So you really want to focus on the green ones first and then focus on all the white ones. So they're coming from all over the place, and this is just really overwhelming at first. And so you have to be able to adjust as fast as possible. And so this is the hardest one by far because, you are trying to avoid hitting these like gray ones and really trying to prioritize hitting all of the green ones. And you really want to make sure you don't let the boss anywhere near your caravan because it will substantially injure your caravan. And it also has AoE. That's another thing to remember, is that the boss has AoE. And so now my caravan is getting hit, so I want to make sure I have AoE marches that are hitting all of these enraged barbarians and kill these things off as fast as possible. You want to make sure you don't have any of your marches sitting still and you have everything hitting these enraged caravans. And so we are going to try to finish off these last ones. You can see a couple of these marches sitting idle. And so we are going to try to hit this enraged one because that's one doing the most damage. You can see my Nevsky was sitting still there. And now we can go ahead and kill off the final boss. And we will finish off. You can see I went into that with 100%. This is how hard this last one is. I finished with 43.51% there. So that will put me in first place, I believe, by about 13%. And then we'll be able to give the legendary mode a try. I haven't tried that one, but hopefully we'll get luckier and get a better path and not one that's off territory. But we will go ahead and finish this one here. You can see we got about 10 seconds left on there. We will take first place, and then we will be able to go ahead and do the final mode and try out the legend mode, which is going to give them the back to the wall passive skill, which is when an enemy troop has less than 30% units left, we'll gain a 6-second shield factor of, what is that, 100 million? While the shield is active, the troops counterattacks deal additional skill damage. So in this case, you want to avoid hitting the targets when they are below 30% for that 6 seconds. So it makes it a lot harder. And then the Avenge Me, when killed, enemy troops increase the damage of their nearby allies by 10% for 30 seconds. This effect can stack up to 10 times, which is really, really crazy. So we will be giving this a try once our troops get back. It's also cool, it gives you some extra rewards here as well for the current event that's going on for the fancy egg. I am kind of struggling here to get it done. I have been doing like AoE barbs and stuff like that, but I feel like the drop rate is worse. I know a lot of people are saying that it's better because you get, more from the barbarians and stuff like that, but I feel like the boxes were way better in my opinion. And like the crit times 8, I never get that. That was my first time seeing it actually right here. But we are on level 21 now, so we might have to spend some AP to get this done. Because it's a lot to finish up. So we will get these troops back, and then we will go ahead and finish off with the legend mode and see what we get from this last one. Hopefully we are able to finish it, because as you can see here, it is very, very difficult. Typically it's almost nearly impossible to get 100% on level 30, but we'll be able to see if we can even finish the legend mode because it's even harder than level 30. So now we can go ahead and confirm legend mode. Here we go. Looks like we're going the right direction. So now we are going to come over this way. And like I said before, with the strategy, keeping 2 cav, 2 infantry, and 1 archer is really the play. That way you kind of have a good mix of everything. But like I said, with legend mode like this, it's just so much harder. And with events like Soroli Crisis and stuff like that, like you can't do it with randoms anymore because of the legend mode. Because it's just so much harder to finish, especially when you have the skill or the passive skill that at 30% they gain that insane shield, and then in Soroli when they die and they get that like poison that heals the boss, like that's just insanely hard. And so that's the annoying thing about the new legend mode, is that it's just so much harder. It's literally nearly impossible. And this is literally like the perfect strategy for this event, and it's still almost isn't enough, which is just insane. Like it's just not, it shouldn't be this hard, but it is. So it's kind of unfortunate. Once Nevsky kills this thing off, I'll go ahead and hit this green one. You can see the taste to spare all triggering at the same exact time. So once this guy dies, we'll go ahead and pull it off onto the next one. And like I've said before, do not leave your caravan alone. So we're going to pull these off, go through the cities, making sure you're marching on territory, because that's going to increase your march speed. It's microscopic, but you know, it makes a difference, especially on events like this. So once this thing hits taste to spare, we're going to pull off of it because we don't want to take that needless AoE. We'll pull back onto it, and then hopefully this is the one that I lost on last time actually. So we're going to pull these off, and then we'll use my Nevsky on these two. Go ahead and go toward the green guy over here. And hopefully we are able to kill all these off. Taste to spare is on this one now. And so we are going to put everything onto this green guy. It's like that one is just about dead, but it's still going to hit our caravan, which is just insane. Go ahead and put everything onto that one now. And so even with like being like, that was nearly perfect, and I still couldn't keep it 100%, which is just crazy. But we did pass it, so now we will get it. Go ahead and get to the boss in this next one here. We'll have to pull our archers up on top. I think this route is much better because you get the shield of these little like trees over here. And so if you have a route like this, like if you're in a good teleport spot, it's substantially easier because you only have to worry about attacks from one side, which makes it way, way, way easier to defend. You want to make sure you don't get too far away though, especially in modes like this when you have more attacks coming. So in this case, you want to do kind of like a crescent moon where you're protecting the sides that you can get hit on. And in this case, you can kind of come out, but you don't want to go too far out because the last thing you want is something to spawn on the inside. I've had that happen before. If you leave too much room, something will spawn on the inside. So you want to make sure you're close enough, but not too far. So now we're going to go ahead. We are going to prioritize the green ones again. We're going to get our strong marches on the boss. And like I said before, you're going to try to aggro the green ones and then worry about hitting the white ones. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to aggro both these white ones, and we're going to turn around and head over to this green one here next. So we're going to take our Scipio, we're going to aggro both the white ones, and then we're going to go ahead and change onto the green. So now we can go ahead on both of these and head back over to this green guy. With my Minamoto, we can do the same exact thing. And this green one will hit the boss for sure, but we will limit the amount of damage it can do to it. So we're going to keep on hitting these green ones to try to kill them as fast as possible. We actually did prevent it from hitting. So now we can go ahead to the boss because nothing else is going to spawn. And we are going to kill off the boss here. We're actually going to pull off because I don't want to take that extra damage. And then we can go ahead and swarm this thing down. In this case, you can pull everything off because, you're very close to the caravan and you don't really have to worry about, anything spawning because you just killed the boss. But sitting at 98.8% is really, really good here. I'm very happy with that. We're going to pull our calves back down, continue our trend here of keeping infantry on top. Since we have this really advantageous spot with where the caravan is going, we're able to kind of like maneuver our marches a little bit easier. And so we can have kind of one out way in front. So I'm going to put my Boudica out in front for the AoE. And then I'm going to keep my infantry a little bit closer, but still on the outside. And then still keeping the calves in the bottom. That way, the archers can, with the YSG AoE, I can aggro as many as possible. And then the infantry can kind of clean up the rest, focus on hitting the green ones. And then the calves kind of pick up everything else, trying to aggro as many things as possible. And so you can see right here, everything's kind of coming from the bottom, and this is actually really nice because everything is chasing the caravan instead of following it, which is an important characteristic change because a lot of times what you have happening is you have them coming towards you while you're walking toward it. So in this case, it'd be like if everything was from the top, you would be walking toward the enemy versus the enemy chasing, which is a lot easier to defend because you don't have to worry about your caravan literally running into the enemy because you're hitting them from basically head on versus them coming toward your caravan. And so it's a much more Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Much more advantageous. You know, it's a lot easier to defend. That's how I'll put it. So we're going to continue to put our marches in the same order. So now it's going to get a little bit harder because now they are able to spawn over here. And we are closing in on the part where I won't have territory anymore. And this is where it does get harder at the very end here. We are still sitting at 98.8%, which is crazy good. A lot better than last time. And so we are going to continue to sprawl out here. We don't want anything spawning on the inside. But this one is probably going to be one of the harder ones because we're going to have a lot of enraged barbarians coming. They're going to come from all over, probably from the bottom, from the side, and from up here. Obviously, the hardest one is going to be the last boss, and that one is literally just trying to survive. We're not trying to get 100%. We're not trying to get, you know, even low 90s. Like, we're literally just trying to survive. And so we are going to try to finish this one. This one actually looks pretty easy. Hopefully not speaking too soon. We have 3 green ones down here. Really, really nice position because, you know, we don't have them coming toward the caravan. We have them chasing, which, like I said before, is way, way, way easier to defend against. Mainly because, you know, you're not having to worry about your caravan running into the enemy. So it makes it a lot easier to defend against. Now we can go ahead and pull these marches back up on top because these are going to... we're going to get some new ones here coming soon. So we're going to go ahead and continue to try to kill off these ones down here. It is a little tough though because it's just hard to control marches on the PC in my opinion. Especially with, like I said, when you're trying to control like 5 different marches, it's just so much harder to do. So we do have the Taste of Despair on this one now. It is chasing the caravan, but it won't make it. Now it's dead. We actually missed the Taste of Despair on that one, thankfully. The Nevsky kind of nuked it and prevented it from actually getting its passive skill, which is crazy. It went from 30% to 0. So now we are trying to get our Guan back on top. This is by far the hardest part, especially because we're going to lose our territory bonus right here. And so we are almost there. You see here, just a little bit further. And this is going to be the hardest one by far. So we're going to try not to get flustered. We're going to, you know, take a deep breath, get ready for it because it's going to be a little overwhelming to look at at first, like right here. There's just so many things to look at, you know. The first thing you want to do in this case is look for the boss. Find eyes on the boss, which is right here. And so now we just want to try to aggro as many of these normal ones as possible. And that way we don't have to worry about those ones hitting the boss, or hitting our caravan, I should say. And the reason why you want to focus on those ones the most is because they actually deal a lot more damage than you think. We're going to try to make sure we don't have marches just sitting idle. But like I said before, this is by far the hardest level, you know, without question. It's literally just trying to survive here. I don't know if we're going to be able to, but we are going to try. I can't even see where we're at. I think we're in the red. Yeah, we're not going to make it, but this was the closest I've been to beating the legend mode. This is a strategy you want to use, but I think you might have to use the 50% expansions. If you're in KVK, it will be way easier to do, but that is a strategy you do want to use. But if you really want to focus on trying to get the highest points, I would recommend just sticking with the current level 30 difficulty instead of trying to push through legend, because you know you have a much better chance of getting the highest score with level 30 than you do even beating legend. If you do beat legend, props to you, you deserve to win. But otherwise, try to stick with normal and just go for the 30 stars and try to get as high percentage as you can. I mean, 42% or 43.5% is really good. So hopefully we get a high ranking here. I'm sure we'll probably get top 10 with that. I might try to do another level 30 here afterwards on my phone because it's a little bit easier. But if you did enjoy this video, please drop a like and subscribe. If you want more videos like this in the future, let me know down below, and I will put timestamps in this video as well, so it's a lot easier to find what exactly you're looking for. But thanks again for checking out the video, guys. Have a good one.